You're mute.
Sorry about that. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for surrendering the call over to me. How is everyone doing? Good? Give me thumbs up. Thumbs up if you are good this afternoon. Okay. Yeah, I did it right. I am TTLing on Monday. And I don't already come late. So it's a very good first impression, I guess. So we'll see on Monday anyway, again. So anyway, it's more going to be like an interactive session. Okay. So well, I try and be interactive. Eventually, I will have to take over due to the fact that I will be presenting. But I'm going to try and make this interactive as possible. So please do try and contribute. It's okay if you don't know the answer. Okay, it's good that there are a small number of us. That means we learn better in a small number. If you have too many people, then everybody is asking or everybody is not sure, and I'm looking at faces. But all I need to worry about is these three people. Or there's a fourth one on the other screen. I don't know whether it's with us or against us. But okay, he's looking. I don't know. He's looking at another screen. I don't know, Sha. So 4 or 5. Okay. We'll see on Monday. That's what I said. Anyway, so I want someone to just like give me. So before I go, so what I will say in this session, I'm going to try and make it as easy as possible to explain. And some of the tools that I'm going to teach you or show to you, you might have seen before, but bear with me. I will try and ramp up the difficulty as we go along. It is going to be very beneficial because when I first started, like when somebody was like testing, I'd never written a single test before I came to Andela. And even when I was in on my checkpoints, I didn't understand testing as I do now. I'm just like, oh yeah, just testing. I just write for testing state coverage, no consideration of how testing should be done. And it was like just done anyhow. And now that I look at my code, I'm like, oh my God, like, was I really doing testing or was I just like trying to satisfy Mark's requirements? So try and some things I'm going to explain that you might not get, but the most important thing is to grab some things from this session. And once you do, you don't have to grab everything because I'm going to be talking for a while. So once you grab just a few things, you'll be fine. Because it's very good to just give you like a generalized overview that will set you on the way. I can't like teach you every single like line of test in your application. It's not going to work like that. We only have like just a few. I'll try to go on that few 2 hours. I know you have something later on, but I'm more maybe in the region of 1.5 because even me, I can't listen to somebody for that long. It gets boring. But I know I'm a funny guy, so I'll try and entertain you as much as I possibly can. Okay, good. So why do you think we do any testing? Can anybody like say why do you think we test? And I'm interested to hear your like ideas of why you think it is. Do you think you test because Mark, like if you don't test, you're not going to the next stage D1, or do you think you're just testing because it's just testing, like anyone can. Would you like me to call somebody? You are raising your hand. You can do and you can talk. Just unmute yourself.
Okay. Yeah, I'm Ibidapo. So I believe that one of the reasons, or one of the major reasons for testing is to ensure that our outputs align with the expected results.
Sorry, when you say expected, when you say expected result, what expected result Ibidapo? Sorry, Daniel.
Okay, yeah, when I say expected results, so Before you build or before building the platform, I think there's an expectation that you have requirements or there's a specific behavior that there's a specific way a product should behave, dependent on the inputs. So we write tests against these inputs and possibly errors also.
Okay, anybody else? Anyone else? I know there are more people on the corner.
I guess them.
Yeah, Daniel.
Mic check.
Yes, we can hear.
Okay, yeah, so the only reason why I write this is because of test coverage.
So just because of test coverage, or else you will never
Yes.
write test. If not for test, if the test coverage is not hitting a certain percentage, that's it. You are good.
Yes, so
That's it done.
we write to meet the threshold.
It's all right. It's all right. Anybody else? Okay, everybody else is feeling shy. It's okay. So, oh, okay. Sorry, go on. Though. Yeah, Chidozie.
Yeah, so my own is funny too. I think I write this so that I can get the badge from Good Climate or Coveralls. It looks good on my repo.
He writes it for GitHub repo. Okay, that's good. That's a valid reason. That's a valid. Okay, so let me go on from here. So before I actually go on and say, I forgot I should have introduced myself. I think Chooks introduced me, but I'll introduce myself again for the people that just came in. So my name is Benny Ogidan. I'm D2. My stack is just JavaScript. My partner, the partner I work with is in Asia. I think one of our own. We have a very, very few Asian clients, but they are based in Thailand. They are called Omise. They do payment platforms. So they are kind of like the PayPal or Paystack for Thailand. So what I generally tend to do is I use React and GraphQL, and we're building like another version of their dashboard, which they have. Okay, so actually everybody, you are generally all right. You build tests for yourselves. You build tests to satisfy expectations, and yes, I will build tests for my GitHub repo. It is a valid point because if I want to, and I'm sure a lot of you have been in this scenario where when you look at a repo like a package, you're looking for a package. Maybe you're looking for React, let's say React package, okay? Any React package. And if hopefully you're intelligent enough now, when I was in my Checkpoint, I was not intelligent enough. So what I would do is I would just search npm, does the React tooltip or React something, and I would decide not to look at the repo. I would just say, okay, this thing is available, and I'm just going to download it. And why that's bad is because it's maybe 3 months later, you get all these security vulnerability alerts, which I have on some of my previous levels because of packages I downloaded that were probably not tested appropriately. So if I go to a GitHub repo, and now that JavaScript is, a lot more people are using JavaScript, you will always see maybe some tools that have multiple implementations. So somebody will have his implementation of maybe a progress bar or a spinner. Another person will have his own implementation of a progress bar or a spinner. So when I look at both your applications, the first thing I'm going to look at is the test coverage and the badges. If I see a repo that does not have any, if you see a repo that doesn't have any badges, Are you likely to download it? Yes or no? No. Whereas if you see a repo shining with all their badges and that Chidozie likes, wouldn't that be more useful to download? So that's definitely a valid coverage. So when you're on a partner engagement and you see this, you have maybe a CTO who like will give you like, these are the specifications of what you're supposed to build or what you're supposed to do, but he wants you to kind of fulfill that that obligation, and the tests are what fill that like obligation. So when the bit that says expected output, so when someone builds an app, they're not just like, okay, you build an app and then you go. You're still going to test it and make sure the tests satisfy the requirement. So your senior dev or your CTO or whoever can go in, look at your tests. He's not going to look at the whole of your app. There's no time. Like look on thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of lines of code. It's not just possible. But what he can do is easily go and do like an NPN test and say, okay, this is what he's testing here. This is what he's testing here. This is what she's testing here. Okay, it satisfies this. It satisfies this, and you have more. There's more confidence now because you are doing what I actually asked you to do. Does that make sense? Yeah. Not like you build an app. Good, great, you built an app, but if the thing is not tested, then there's no guarantee that under the hood it's doing what I want it to do. So like on my project now, we test CSS. We have functional testing. And I know it's weird. You were like, oh my God, we're testing CSS, but we actually test CSS. And the CSS, when we test it, I'm going to show you later on, but the CSS, when I test it, it says it must render this. So if you say something is going to be rendering 4 pixels, that CSS test will show that it's rendering 4 pixels, okay? Because if off by 1 pixel, then we have a problem because you've not constructed what you are supposed to have constructed. Because my UI designer gave you something for 4 pixels, and you decide that, oh, I'm going to be fancy and do something for 8 pixels. All my React tests can be packed in, but my UI is not what it's supposed to be. Make sense? Cool. Okay, so we actually have many types of tests. I'm going to be doing this in the channel. So can anybody give me the types of tests they think we have? Go ahead. Feel free to unmute your mic.
Unit test.
End-to-end testing. Black box test.
Integration test.
Pen test.
So we've had people mention quite a few tests. Please turn your cameras on so that I can see you, because I will be seeing some of you on Monday. I want to know who I'm going to be TTLing. If you hide your face, I can't guarantee anything because I haven't seen you before. So please do turn on your cameras. So I'm going to say,
Let us hide our face so
Daniel, please do turn your thing on if you want good marks. So I'm going to send you like a web thing. So it has like different types of testing. You have the so when I actually started, I thought, okay, we had like maybe we're gonna have unit tests, maybe user acceptance tests, and a few other things. But like there are so many, you can have so many tests, and you can have tests that are like functional, so you're actually testing, and tests that are non-functional, so they are different loads. If you want to be a testing engineer, this is going to be your bread and butter, or QA, this is going to be your bread and butter, which I don't want to do, thank God, but that you have to give those people props when they come up with stuff like that. So what we're going to concentrate on is the ones we know, which are going to be the unit tests. We're going to do regression. We're going to talk about integration, maybe acceptance if we have time. But yeah. So can anyone tell me what they know about unit tests?
I think it's testing the functional units of an application and testing each function.
Yeah, that's good. That's good, Princess. So we want to, in unit tests, we want to be just testing individual lines of codes. So functions, just small tests. That's why they are called units. So it will follow up to an integration test. Anyone want to tell me what that is?
I think it's the behavior of testing the behavior of an application when it's coupled together. When you bring all the units together, testing how the application works. I don't know if it's correct.
That's a good try. Anybody else? So Princess was almost right. It is testing so integration test is actually testing multiple unit tests. So all these units, so it's more like kind of like a component where you have like if you done testing a component before, what will happen is that you have like singular unit tests, and all those together you call an integration test. So not really the whole application, because that's like a big, but like just a couple of unit tests in like that are common, you would call an integration test. Okay. So can anyone try what a regression test is? It can't be Princess coming up with all the ideas. Maybe I should start giving you marks here. And Kitty, I won't give you any marks, so don't go and report me to marks.
Okay. So I think regression test is testing maybe a function if it has changed. Maybe if you've changed something, then you're not testing it to see what happens or so. Like maybe the difference is now, does it function the same way?
I also want to add to that. I think it's testing an application when you add a new feature to it to ensure that the new feature is maybe backward compatible or fits with the previous functionalities in the application, I guess.
Yeah. So the answer is like in between what Chijoje said and what I do not in between, more towards Princess, but like around what both of them said. So when you have what do I call it, a regression test, it's really you have so this is kind of the assumption that you've already been testing before, and then you decide that, oh, okay, I'm going to introduce some new code to my thing that might introduce bugs. So regression testing is making sure you are testing those tests that you've written before, making sure those are passing as well, because new code can also introduce bugs to the rest of the application. So it's no good just doing like, okay, I've tested these bits of the application, so those ones are sorted, and I'm going to forget about them. You also need to know that when I write a new, like some new piece of code and I've tested it, the old tests are also passing. So this new component is not affecting my old piece of code. Make sense? So that's a regression test. And then the last one that you guys will be probably dealing with is end-to-end testing. Can anyone give me like a introduction or what? So hands, if everyone seen what an knows what an end-to-end test is? Any hands if you've seen an end-to-end test? Any hands? Just give me a thumbs up. One person, one hands again. Let me see hands. So I'm like talking German. I was thinking, these people will be badass. To be fair, I did give you opportunities to ask questions, and only one question was sent to my thing. So what I'm going to do is open one end-to-end test I did, one of the end-to-end tests I did when I was in Checkpoint, just to show you what it looks like. But basically, what an end-to-end test is, you're not testing for component functionality. You're more like testing the functionality of the whole application, how it works in Flow. So how you'd want a user to work on an application. So it's like so I write. So I'll give you a scenario. I write a application that does, I don't know. Let's think maybe the Facebook application, yeah. So when you're on Facebook, you're gonna sign in, you're gonna put in your username and password, yeah. You're gonna maybe look at your friends list, yeah, something like that. I haven't been on Facebook for a while. So what will happen is that an end-to-end test would simulate that scenario. So it would fill in the username. It's like a mock where it would fill in the username and password, and it would also mock click events. So it would kind of mock how you would think a user would use that application. Okay, so I know that is actually quite hard to comprehend, because when somebody explained it to me, it was hard to comprehend the first time. So I'm gonna hopefully, okay, yeah, I have this. No, I don't have that. That's something. I want to get my demo out of me writing, me doing it. Okay, it's still with me. So this was my test. Hopefully I can open it. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen so that you guys can see. Can you see my screen? Thumbs up. Can you? Yeah, see me. Can you see the video playing? Yeah, the video is not playing yet. Yeah, cool. Okay, so I'm going to play it so that you guys can see. I won't play probably the first 2 minutes. So this is me starting the end-to-end test. It's just a recording here. So it does the migration. So I'm using a thing called Selenium. And what it does, it helps me fill in the usernames and passwords. So I'm mocking the signing, yeah? And then the next mock, what am I doing? Yeah, I think it's, so then I'm looking for a list of categories. Next one. So I need to log in. Every time I need to simulate the login, so I'm adding a book here. So I'm going to fill out the book. And then it's added a new book there. Next is login. Try and add the same book. I think it's the same book. And it should give me an error. Yeah. The book with that same title already exists. Next is. Okay. People are laughing. Yeah. Is it magic? Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Oh, the audio is breaking a lot. Is the audio breaking for anybody else? Maybe it's the way he is. Am I speaking fine? Yeah, you're hearing me, yeah? Okay, cool. So I was gonna leave where I was. So see, you saw that that is basically what an end-to-end test looks like. So you have loads of Selenium, you can have Cypress, you can have Puppeteer, and a lot of these they just mock DOM events, and they help you achieve stuff like that. Okay, that is really essential, because especially in your engineers don't have this concept. Sometimes engineers, we don't really have the concept of somebody else is paying for this application to work. So it is good now to kind of show this person, okay, this is how a user would go through your application, and you show it to the big boss, and it's like, okay, yes, these guys are actually adding value. So it makes sense. Last one I'm going to actually speak about is the user acceptance user acceptance criteria, user acceptance test, user acceptance criteria test, user acceptance test. Can anybody give me like a brief overview of what they think, what you think it is?
I think I don't know, but I'll just try. I think it's probably when maybe the owner of the product accepts what you've done. That's it.
Yeah, it's kind of what it is. So Selenium is free. You can download it from NPN, so it's free. I'll go with that. But what we want to do, so in some scenarios, what we want to be giving our tests, our components to users to do use. So real life users. So when I test, I've done all my tests, but I want to give a user, okay, please, if you can't break my app. And a lot of this time, this user acceptance test is neglected because they're like, if I find all my tests myself now, why can't I'll be able to do it. But the reason why you give somebody else your test to use too is because that person has no concept of how your app works or what your app does. So you're basically wanting to break it because, and I guarantee you this has happened, where you design an app and you think, oh God, this app is the best app in the world. It's banging, man. And then when you give it to someone in 10 seconds, it's like, why isn't this thing doing like this? And your hand is on your head like this. Why did this person send my village people? Why? And you're crying, but he's actually broken your app. And that's one of the things you want to kind of generate when you're doing a user acceptance test. It makes sense? Cool. Okay, let's go on to the other bits. So I think last week I came along, I asked anybody if they had any questions. They were like, everybody was feeling shy. So I was like, okay, please send me your question. Somebody did send a question. He wanted to see tests done in Node. So I was like, okay, I will explain. I think this is more supposed to be front end, but I will kind of go through some code and then show you some like best practices I use. Maybe you guys might be using them, you guys might not be using them because, yeah. Okay, so I'm guessing everybody's server-side testing is complete. Yes, thumbs up or thumbs down. Okay, somebody's thumbs up. Everybody, okay, everybody. So I don't need to teach you any server-side test. There's nothing you can learn from me. You raise his hands up. There's nothing you can learn, but everything is complete now, so there's no need for me to say anything. Mine is incomplete. Okay, somebody said here. Okay. I will go through. Okay, because all this there are things I won't really go through the test. I will just kind of show you some of the things I do that you might have done, might be doing, or you might not be doing. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully, let's see if I was gonna do the server side anyway, so there's please no need to panic. Okay, let's share my screen now. Can you see my screen? Can you see VS Code? Yeah, you can see VS Code. So please, at this junction, I have to say, if you think I'm going too fast, please ask a question. If you think I'm going too slow, ask a question. If you think I'm like there's something that you're not clear with, please do ask. Okay, that's the only way I'll be able to get feedback from you saying, okay, I need to re-explain this thing, and also helps me learn because when I do it the next time, I re-explain it to somebody else better. Okay, so when I do my test, I think most of you will be familiar with this line here. Are people familiar with this? Somebody's nodding his head. Nod your head. If you're not familiar, this is your only chance to Just tell me no. And that's why I have your cameras on. If your camera is not on and you're nodding your head and you're thinking, I will see you by, it's not going to work. Oh. Somebody is sending me a message. Maybe the person is saying no, but okay, wait. Let me see the chat. Sorry, 1 second. I am not. Okay, somebody said I am not. Okay. I'll go through that line of code. So what I want to do is my environment, I set it to test, yeah? Then this test is for, this is not supposed to be the one I opened. Okay, never mind. This is for a hotel application I'm building. It's supposed to be for another thing, but who cares? So it's a hotel application I'm building. So the first thing I do, I will set my environment. Okay, so that's no DMV equals to test. Okay. The second thing is I always like to see my coverage. When I'm testing, as soon as I finish testing, I want to see my coverage. I want to see the coverage generated. Okay, so I will have this command here. So what this command does actually, it doesn't show my coverage. This shows my coverage. What this command does is generates my coverage folders. So I want them to continue generating after every test. So this is the guy that does it here. So I have an HTML option and I have a text option. Okay, and then this is the test. The actual test is the mocker. So mocker. So I'm only testing one file here, mocker src test index.ts. Okay, so now if we go to the index.ts, you can see my tests. So now I have ordered them like that, and if you test them in this order, the reason why I want them in that exact order. So there's no number one something, 2 something, or 10 something. Like I don't have to put any number because that's just really ugly. I just want, so that's why I test the index.ts index, and then it takes them in this order when it tests. So it's like dynamic requires. You can actually use imports. I shouldn't be using requires, but you can use requires, you can use imports. It doesn't matter. But what I essentially want them to do, the test to do, is to do them in this order, because if you look at Mocker's docs, it will actually, if you just do Mocker test any file, it tests them randomly. It doesn't care, it will just test them randomly. So I need this test to come out like that. Okay, so let's go to the package.json. Yes, so I done this, and then I also need to require Babel for because I'm doing some transpiling stuff. So I need to do this here. And then after, I need to exit the test. So normally you can actually specify a time. I think it's timeout. Or time something. And what that time does is sometimes Mocker doesn't know that it should wait. So maybe if you're calling an API during a test or something like that, Mocker needs to be told to wait for like a certain amount of milliseconds. So sometimes it doesn't wait. It just will go right through them. It doesn't care whether it's waiting for information to come back or not. So that's why you specify a timeout, that the time which every test should take. Okay. So the second thing, which you people probably might not be used to, is that all my tests for Postgres. So the database I'm using is Postgres, but I'm actually using SQLite for my tests. People are like, can anyone tell me why I would use SQLite for my tests? Anybody? Yeah, go on. Somebody is.
Sorry, well, I don't. Why should you test your database? Sorry, I don't know.
Why should you what?
Test the database.
I'm not testing the database. I'm testing. So I need I sign in and sign out. I need to hit the database every time now. So if I want to sign in, no. So I'm not actually testing the database.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah. Does that clear that up? Okay. Can anyone tell me why I'm using SQLite?
Let me try.
Go on.
So this is my idea, because Postgres is a SQL query language, and SQLite is another SQL query language, but it's a light version. So probably want it.
That's why SQLite.
Yeah.
Something like I wanted something like. So he's actually not. He's not wrong. He's not far from the truth. So yeah, SQLite is a lighter version of SQL. But it does. It's in memory, and all it does is generates a file. So I'll show you the file it generates. It generates this file here. So it doesn't do any like test. It doesn't call any database. It doesn't call any services. It just generates a file. And when the test is done, it deletes that file. So my tests become faster. Instead of like calling some Postgres data. I'm not saying this is something you should do. It's something you can think about. If my mic went out. Something you can think about as the time comes. But the reason why is because it's really quick. Everything is done in memory, and all it is just takes one test file, and it's SQL, which is good. So all I do is it just makes that file, deletes the file, and I'm not spending any additional resources. Make sense? So I'm not normally I don't like to, because my computer is not as high tech as the ones you probably have. So I will always have a Postgres database outside. So maybe Elephant SQL. I'm using Elephant SQL. I rarely have my Postgres inside my computer, because then the computer gets hot. So I needed to now find a way, okay, but I cannot be calling that database every time. It doesn't make sense because it will take too long. So next best thing, SQLite. Well, it's even the best thing, SQLite, because you will see when you go into organizations, you will see they have like maybe SQLite or something like equivalent, because these tests are just quicker. Yeah, and it's just more efficient. It saves me more money. If I'm a company, I don't want to be using two Postgres servers. Okay, make sense? Okay, so second thing I guess I have to tell you is that the way I write my app is I try and be very modular. So all I want to do is just replace my node env. Sorry. All I want to do is just replace do my node passing my node env character, and then for my app to continue running. So if you find yourself taking like things out of your app, like, oh, to run tests, I have to do if this somewhere. If node env is equals to test in 100 files, then the structure of your app is messed up. So I think I should hopefully I have something here. Let me check. Forgotten how I wrote this up. I'm using Next. It's an ORM. Let's see. Middleware. No, not here. Okay. I can't remember how I'm running. I can't remember how this app is being run. That's alarming. But normally I will show you on a repo of mine. 1 second. I'll show you the repo, one of my files. This is how I like to write them. So I'm just opening the file now. So I'm opening my repo now. Is Next easier than SQLite? It depends on what you're doing with it. SQLite is easy. Next, the reason why I like Next is because when I started, SQLite didn't have SQLite, but now I think it does. SQLite lets you be more flexible, but it's for smaller applications. So in comparison, maybe I wouldn't, yeah. Synchronize is definitely easier to do. Next is a bit harder. It took a while for me to get my ass in here. Let me see. Check this application. I think I have it here. Okay, so I'm going to move this over in a second. So you guys, are you using ORMs or you're using like raw queries? Can anybody tell? Anybody can. ORMs, okay. So before they used to use raw queries, I think your predecessors or the ones before. So if you see this now, I have a config. So I have my development, and I have my test, and I have my production. So, and I'm requiring my .env here. So all I am is just when I start the app, I'm just passing that my node_env, and then it's hooking onto one of these guys, and then exporting the. So if I check the next file, it goes to this pool. So if my node env is equals to production, I wanted to do an SLS true and then the connection string, because my production parameters, let me open them in a different screen here. So you can see my production is different from how my database and development is defined. So it uses env and then it will use a production screen. Where these other two are more or less the same. So when I go to my what do you call it, my pool here, you can see if I assign, this is more like a default, but here it just spreads all the environmental variables that I have. So anything that I've defined here, in this guy here, it assigns them here. See where it's picking the what do you call it, node env. It assigns them here, and then it just spreads everything I have. And then I use it around my application. So I don't need to do anything anywhere else. This is what I mean, that if you are touching different other parts of your application, well, if you might do it for something like specific, I don't know, I can't think of anything right now, maybe like a build or something. But if you are touching like multiple places, then it's not modular, and then it's a lot hard. It becomes a lot harder to refactor later on when you're trying to refactor things. So these are things you need to keep in cognizance when you are doing stuff like this. Does that make sense? Yeah. Have people learned something? Okay. Yeah, because if people are not learning it, we can go off the call. there's no need for me to be talking. if you know everything, then there's no need for me to be chopping out here. Okay, so let's go back to the code. Okay, yeah, so I remember the reason why I don't have a config here is because I'm doing them in migration. So if I check not this migration, the next migrations, where are they? I'm looking for a next file. Okay, yeah, so the next migrations here. So you can see I've done almost the same thing. So I have a development. So in my development, I want all of these guys and spread the migrations. In the test, I've hard-coded SQLite here. And then this is the file that it generates. So no connection, no blah, 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 like that. And then in the production, I want this. Yeah. And if I want to do anything else, this is the only file I will change. I don't need to go and be doing if test. If some node, it's too much. And then you won't keep track of places, and before you know it, your whole app will just surrender. Okay. So 1 second, I need to set this up. I hope this is my application. So I am going, 1 second. Let me get myself started. Yeah. Okay. So this was a few months ago when I didn't know as you always refactor code. It's always good to refactor code. I didn't know better when I was doing this thing. So, but the way I write my test is probably where most of you write your tests. But when I'm testing my controllers, I want to test them all in one file. So this is my controller that controls my authentication. So I have a should throw a, so very important you follow conventions. So if you're using, you can either use an it or you can use a test. But the convention is that should do this, should do that. So it should read like a sentence in English. So if I say this should, just because I want to be consistent, this should be, I'll put this as it. It and test, they're the same, they're interchangeable. But I shouldn't be like this. It threw a validation error for, it doesn't make sense. So this is why if you check from test conventions, it should throw and blah, 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 blah. So I have one written. So normally, I think it's this style. Yeah. So normally I will have a fixtures. So if I have data, and you will see these in my old tests where I've done bad stuff, I will have a fixtures where I will put like stuff I want to reuse for the test. So they kind of like help us, but they are for tests. So maybe if it's like a user object, I want to continue to repopulate again and again and again and again and again and again in other files, I'll have a fixture folder where I'll put it. It's just nice. So when I'm in this test now, I'll import it from over here for fixtures. So now I have one test that I'm missing. I am actually going to copy this. So let me actually copy this. So I'm just going to put this in here. Plump this in here. So the reason for this is because my Babel RCI in this project is not properly configured for object spreads. But I'll show you this works. So this is the alt sign up. Okay. So should return a 201 status code when a regular user is created. So I'm spreading the user details. So if I wanted to configure, like, let's say I didn't know what I was testing. So let's do this. And maybe so you want all your tests to kind of line up like this. Okay. So now if I wanted to debug this test and say, okay, what am I getting out? I'll just do this console log and then the rest object. I don't really want to do the rest object because it's a big ass object, but let me log in anyway, just to show you, because that is coming from Express. Okay, so now let me just do my npm. I think it's yarn test. I think I use yarn. Doesn't matter. Let's do yarn test. So yeah, that's some SQLite running. And maybe because I haven't run this for a while. Okay. So cool. So that's power of SQLite. Okay, so one of the tests timed out is probably the first one. So I've logged my request object, which is this. So most important thing you'll be dealing with is your request.body, which is this guy here. This will tell you whether things are being successful, or it will tell you whether there's an error somewhere. Okay, so request.body will, when you're doing a test like this, it where's the test? Yeah, should return a 201 status code when the regular user is created. So this is my regular user, this is my message, and this is the data that comes with the message. So this is also probably where I would say, when you do your controllers or your objects, make sure they are structured properly so that you can see them. So this makes sense to now test. And this is what I would be testing. So, and this is what I do. Yep. Oh yeah, the reason why that error came was because of the done wasn't there. Okay, so I'll do rest of status. It's straightforward. From what I can see here, it's just straightforward. It makes, like, I don't need to stress too much. Yeah. and that is how I would test normal. So we'll do one more for the validation. So let's remove this guy here. We'll leave it done in now this time. Oops. Console.log res.body. Okay, because that's what I'm looking for. Run the SQLite again. And you see the advantage of using SQLite. Now, can you imagine if I'm like doing my my database calls every time, database, Postgres, my computer will just be early on its way to early grave. Okay, so so there's the status error. Why is this request object being run again? Am I console logging and all of this? Maybe I'm console logging somewhere else. I need to go and have a look at that. But anyway, this is what we are looking for. This guy here. So status error, message the user address you provided is invalid. And then we can test that for an error. Yeah? Am I making sense? Have we learned anything? We've not learned anything. Someone is nodding their head. Okay. Someone's like, no, Benny, you haven't taught me anything. I don't know. Okay. I'm sorry. So let's rewind this. Okay. Yeah, I think that's basically. Oh yeah, the only thing I have like a miscellaneous. That's like for stuff or like stuff that leaks down. So in terms of the like the coverage, like I like to be around 90%. It's just a personal preference. 90%. If I see something with like 90% and above, I'm like, this guy this guy or lady has sweat to get this thing to 90%. So I'm going to be downloading that library. Okay. So yes, the coverage also shows lines that you are not hitting. So this is actually I think I will tell you guys. I think so. There are some places. Let me go to my controller. The models controller. So there are some places that are really hard to hit, like the 500 errors. There are some errors that are quite hard to hit. So you can actually, I think Sinon does it. I don't know if Sinon does it. I don't know if Mocha does it. But you can like actually mock an error so that it hits all those like hard to reach places. So there are some lines that you're like, oh, as long as your app is running well, they will never ever error out to those locations. But you still need to test whether stuff is coming to there. So you can mock. I think Mocha and Sinon definitely can do it, where you can mock an error of a certain status code, which will get to a place where you how to reach. I call them how to reach places. Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else I need to go over in server-side tests? Speak now, forever hold your peace. Oh, yeah, forever hold your peace. Don't worry, I will send you the link to this rep. No, not to my hotel application. Well, yeah, to this repo. Yeah, this is the one I wanted to test actually. SMS application. Yeah. I can send you a link to. It's what I did for my D1 D1 advancement, whatever thing. Yeah, everybody happy with that? Cool. Can I move on? Well, let me look at everyone's faces. I'm already looking at the faces. Just raise your thumbs up. Everyone enjoying himself. Everyone is enjoying. Okay, some people are not enjoying themselves. Okay, I will. So let me put this on. Yeah, go on. Hello. Oh, so 5 minutes. Did you say 5 minutes? Are you to build an app for D1 advancement? So it depends on the requirements they give you. For our own, they wanted actually 3 apps. three apps. So 2 were backend. 1 was a full stack application. They are actually quite light applications, but yeah. So So somebody is with their somebody has their mic on. Somebody has their mic on. Sorry. Someone has their mic on. Yeah. So so this is what I say about modular. It might seem like a arduous task now, but this is what I say about modular code. Once your code becomes modular and you are starting to become a lot happier with it, you actually just repeating patterns. So what application do we know now that doesn't use a login and a logout, sign in or sign up? Most applications use that, yeah? So that means you already have the sign up logic done. So maybe you have that done in one repo. So I'll show you. So I have, let me go to my repo. Should I be sending this to? Just make sure, if you like any of my code, just make sure you start it. That's all I tell people. If you are, it's good to look at other Andelan's code, but make sure you help them by signing it, because when they want to move jobs, they need companies, some recruiters just like to see repos that are started. What do they mean light? Oh, light. Yeah, light up. So if you go to, yeah. So, let me do a time check. Okay. So I think I can cover everything. So if I move this here, why is it not moving there? Can you see the screen? Can people see the screen? Okay, cool. So you can see I have an alt application, which I continuously go back to time and time again. And what now happens is that if somebody says build an application, or somebody wants me to do another advancement, I will go to this application, and because it's modular, like all I do is just clone this and then I swap things out. So I think I'd introduced sessions and Redis there. There's a confirmation email, because I know that apps that you need them, apps that I build or apps that I will be building would need a confirmation email. They would need a sign-in. They would need a sign-up. So that now saves me logic, because then I don't have to start from the beginning again and again and again and again and again. Does that make sense? So it gets easier. So if you're looking at it like, oh, I'm going to start again and again, yeah, obviously it's never going to happen. But if you think, oh, okay, if I have this bit done, I can just, and I trust it's good code, then I can just start cloning from that. Can you send it to a link? Can we fork your repo? You can fork it as long as if you like the code, you have to start it. That's all I ask. Yeah? Let me send you a link to the repo so that you people think, when I jump off the code, you'll be crying. Let me send you a link to the repo. Okay, so that's the auto application. Okay. Let me close that. Okay, so I sent that repo. What other things can they get off me? Somebody's like, what other things can we get off Benny? So I'm guessing we are done with that. So we're going to move on to the front end. So in an ideal scenario, 1 second. I'm going to make an excuse now. In an ideal scenario, I would have actually made a starter app and done a reducer, an action and whatever. But I'm going to use my Hello Books of before. The code is not, I'm not happy with the code. And this will happen to you. In a year time or 2 years time, you look at your checkpoint and you'll be like, oh my God, that checkpoint project is disgusting. It's like a day of my life. I thought about deleting my Hello Books repo many times, but because it doesn't reflect the code that I am now. But then I'm still happy I went through that process. I achieved something, and it was hard. Do tests. Wait 1 second. Do test specs in a. Oh no, they run sequentially, so one by one. So yeah, I'm still happy with it, and at least it's got actually people from other countries start the Hello Books, even though I think it's a piece of shit. Somebody even put a issue on my Hello Books application. I was taught, she was like, this thing, something here, something is not working in Firefox. And I was like, I'm not going to fix it, but thank you for going through my application anyway. So let's go to the front end. So the first thing I'll tell you about front end, the most important thing, and I will show you this later on. One of the most important things is to structure your app properly, because when you're writing like loads of components, rows of reducers, loads of actions, what you want is your tests to mock how your front end application is constructed. So now, if it's not like mocking, then it starts to become hard. You start to like look, oh shit, where are my reducer tests? Where is the reducer test for this? Where is this file? Like look at. I'll show you this. So I'm not, like I will say, I'm not proud of the repo, but at least it got me past on checkpoints. Like I have like an alt for my presentational components, and then I have a container for container components, and then I have like a common folder, and I have categories. It's just like, this is the thing. I would go and read stuff online, and then somebody else will say something else online, and then I look at another book and they'll say something else, and it reflected all across my application. This is why if you're just picking one person to live by, just use that person. Don't go and, especially with file structure, don't go and seek second opinions, third opinions, because everybody has their own way. And even those ways are still may not be right for your application. So, but it's very important, stick with just one opinion. If you do 10 opinions on your app, you have 10 different applications that you will be constructing. So I have like book list. What else do I have? I have a model. Like things are just all over the place. Things are just like, and I can't now come back and come and do the come and work on this application because it's a nightmare to navigate. So I'm like, I just hands off. I'm like, nope, I'm not doing it. Not doing it to myself. It will be there like a stain, but at least it has 12 stars. Okay, so let's continue. So for front end tests, so I will go to the package.json like I did before. So let's go to the package.json and see what we have cooking. Okay, so there are loads of stuff, but the most important thing is this guy here. No, that's my front end. Sorry, that's my front end side. See, name my application properly. Yeah, most important thing is this guy here. And what this does, it launches Jest. And what you can do, you can specify like a folder for it to test, blah, 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 where your files are. Or you can just do this and it will look for all your, I think the default to look for is JS files. No, yeah, it will look for JS files and JSX files. But sometimes you might just want to test specific files. So, oh, no. I think, wait, let me check. Sorry, 1 second. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, see, even I don't even know my work. So when you do Jest, you can also have a Jest config. So the Jest config, you can have like different things here. So this is my Jest config in my package.json. So verbose is true. So I want it to go through this directory, or else you'll start, because in this repo I have both my client side and my server side on the same repository. Yeah, I have my client side and server side on the same repo. Somebody just asked, does it make sense to put both front end and back end in the same repository? Most times having to run both concurrently is painful. What's your opinion on this? So it really depends. Sometimes I'm a bit lazy, so I don't want to open an extra repo and then run. Because running a server on a different repo, it takes work. You have to like run, and then you have to like go and put it somewhere and then make sure it's like started up in that place, and then you do it. So it's good in terms of like, if I want to diagnose problems now, I can say, okay, this is a front end problem, this is a back end problem. Then now The reason why it's against it's bad or it's good is if it's in the same application, I can kind of change things very quickly. I can be like, okay, what I'm fetching is not what I want, so I can go and change it in the server very, very quickly because if it's on the same repo. But if it's not on the same repo, now I have to go and change it on that server repo. Then I have to redeploy, and then I'm wasting time, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so it really depends. I think for smaller applications, having them on the same repo does not hurt. But for larger applications, just have them on different repos. It will work out better. It will work out better, much better. Okay, so I have the server side on this. So reason why I specified this root directory is because I didn't want server files to be tested with jest, even though you can test node files with jest. So I have like a test match here. So I want it to match on JS or JSX. So this is what I want to check, and it has to start with .spec. So .spec.js or .spec.jsx. Yeah, and then I have some other things. I have like setup files, like a mock, extensions. Some of these are not like essential. I just like, oh my god, I need to copy this. This is the just config that will work for me. Some of these you don't actually need any. You don't need any of these. Your test will still work. You just need you might need this if you want a setup file. You will need this. Definitely need this because you want to test specific files. You might need. It depends on if you have your server side, then you will need a root directory. Yeah, and then verbose if you want to be logging stuff to the console, you need a verbose. So not that many things. And then just and then I have my coverage. So first thing is what I will tell you, the best thing to test first for your confidence, for your own confidence, because I remember when I was doing my checkpoint and I was like, I saw people doing their client-side test and they were rubbing their head. You see people rubbing their head, they're like, oh my God, I cannot figure out my client-side test. Oh my God, it's so hard. And I'm like, okay, these people, do I even think I can do this client-side test? And I'm like, and the people will just be depressing me. They're like, oh my God, like only 1% has been tested. And I'm like, and I haven't even started anything. So I'm like, okay. So the first test to give yourself confidence. You can do it a different way. This is my way. If you want, you can do it another way. It's totally up to you. But the first thing that makes sense to test for me is the reducers. The reason why I say the reducers is because they are pure functions. So whatever you throw in is whatever will come out. So if your reducers are not working, then don't even try. Don't try anything else. If your reducers are not testing, then don't even venture near the components or actions, because those ones are a lot harder. So this is my user reducer. I've taken out the logic. I'm just going to post it in one by one to show you what it does. So I have my. I should. 1 second. I need to send you the application. Let me send you the application so that you guys actually know what I'm doing. Not that I'm just like testing things out. Oh my God, these things are being tested. So this is my application. I am actually very proud that it's still up and running. The Heroku Dino is still they can't pay. Whereas some other people, their stuff has gone to the moon. My own is still up and running. I'm just waiting for the Dino to start. Let me move it over here. Let's move this here. Okay, so this is my Hello Books. I did some transition. Oh, this application. Anyway, so I have my my books. These are my books. Whatever. Let me put a link down. Please don't criticize my app. It was a long time ago and I didn't know better. But I'm still proud of it, Sha. so, so when you log in, you have this screen, and then you log in. Does not exist. Let me sign in with Google Jerry. Cannot come and kill myself. I'm on the call. So this is my application. Yeah. So you can see how the user like stuff. So you have a. Let me show you. Hopefully I have Redux still kicking somewhere. Yeah, Redux. Okay, so I'm just going to reduce this. I needed this for something. So let's see. So I have a user reducer. So it's authenticated is false. I don't know why that is false now. It's supposed to be true because I am actually authenticated. My app is falling my hand. Well, let me refresh. Oh, it's because I logged in as a social user. Yeah, okay, there it is. Okay, so it's authenticated is true now. I don't know why that. And then I have a message, I have my username, I have my email, anyway, all those things, yeah. And they exist in my reducer states. Yeah. So people now understand what my user reducer does from here. Okay, so it's helping me populate some of these guys here. Yeah. Okay. So I just gave it to you for context, so that when I'm testing things, you are not like, oh my God, what is it doing? How are these things coming about? Okay. So when I have a user that I have here. So I've done an ID. Yes, normally this will be my fixtures because I want to reuse it over and over again. Because this was when I didn't know better, obviously. So I have this here, but then I will, this stuff like, I didn't do it in some of these places. Anyway, we'll see later. They are like in places where I like repeated like logic over and over again. It's not nice. So just put them in one central place and just reuse. Why did I click on something? Oh, that's the reason why. So yeah, I have like books. See, I have these are actually things that should be in fixtures. I have books. I have another book. I have overdue book. Like they're making everything look. It just looks ugly. Okay. So users, and then I need to have an initial state because it's my reducer. Yeah. The reducers have to have an initial state. So the reducer, according to the doc somewhere, I think it takes a initial state and it takes an action. Yeah. Anybody correct me? Did I say the right thing? I just said that from my head. But there's people at least we have grown. We know something. Okay. So the first thing is initial state. Yeah. So if my action is undefined, okay, which is type undefined action. Yeah. To equal, what do you think this should equal? I think it should be sorry. Yeah. If I have an undefined action, can anybody tell me what they think the answer is up there, but can anyone tell me what they think should happen to the state of my reducer? To my reducer state.
I think it will return an empty object.
It will return. Why would it return? But there's an initial state already in there.
To return the initial state.
Yes, it will return the initial state. So that's the first thing I want to test, because the initial is already initialized here. But what you are training is undefined. So what will happen? It will just remain the same. So for your sanity, this is the first thing, and this is the best thing that will work. This is the first test you should be doing if you are using Jest. If this doesn't work, then go and do something to your app. Okay. So what I've done should return initial state for undefined prop types, which is wrong. Undefined actions. Okay, so I've undefined action, but does everyone understand this test? Thumbs up, please do. Okay, because I want to move on. So this should work. Okay, so the next thing I want to do now is my sign up. Some things are going to be coming in quickly here. So now this is a proper action. Okay, I think I'm importing, yes, I'm importing there from my actions, which is here. So app actions authenticate. Okay, so what I want is my sign up user, which is the action to take in the user object. Are we following from here? Am I losing? Because this is the part where I might starting to lose. I will start to lose people. Okay, everybody's still nodding their head. Cool. So my action will be sign up user success, and it takes in the user object, which is this guy here. So I have defined an ID. I've defined the username. I've defined the password. Okay. Does this make sense? Cool. Okay. So new state. Now my initial state, which is my user reducer. Initial state, which is my guy over here. Yeah. Do people follow? And my action, which is coming in. Yeah. So what I don't want, what I've to equal, what have I done? Wait 1 second. Yeah, should handle user access, not to equal initial state. Oh yeah, not to equal initial state action to equal. Well, let's just console log this. Let's debug this test because I don't understand what's going on here. Even me, I'm like lost. I'm lost with my code. So if you want to debug a test for reducers and actions, it's best to use console log so that you can see what is coming out. So I'm just going to look at what new state is. New state. And then I am also going to look at what the action is so that the right action, I know the right action is going in. This is generally how you debug tests. You'll be doing it. So what you want to see is my action is here and my new state is an object. Yeah. So let us see this test. So something should be logged to my console. If nothing, like I said, if nothing is logged, then we have a problem. Supplying test. Let's go. This is exciting. I'm logging. I'm rewriting my application again. Something I didn't want to rewrite. Okay. Yeah, this is the thing I do. I do. Don't tell Marco. I'll make sure they run really quickly so that he doesn't see anything. If there are any errors, any proper errors, just run. This and you blink. No, Mark will just be like, what is that in there? Anyway, let's see. So they are running. Normally, what I would do is run that file so that all the other tests are. Nothing is console logging. That is strange. Nothing has console log. I got this problem before. Let me run it. Let me run it again. I had this problem before. Nothing logged at the first try. Okay, I saw some red, which is not good. Or are these tests? Are these tests actually running, or they are running from somewhere else? Wait, let me see. Oh, there it is. It's not console logging out anything. What I'm going to do is, X this guy here. Should do. Yes. Okay, let's try that again. It's funny. When I tried this before, it console logged. Now it's not console logging. So I have destroyed my computer myself. 1 second. Okay. Reducer is being very temperamental today. I don't know. I have no idea why. It should log that out. But let's move on. We'll just move on. I'll come back to that later. So that let me finish up everything. Then I'll come back. If people want to look at me debug, you are welcome to stay. But I know you have rights to it. So anyway, what you would do is this is exactly how you'd write the test, and also test. So you want to test what is going in, and then test what is coming out, and see if they are matching. Yeah. Okay. So we'll move on to let's move to an action. So what I do, I had my when I finished my reducers, I went to my actions. So let's pick an action. Please, if you do have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Yeah. So let's go to the alt action. So the alt, this one. Okay. So I'm going. Hopefully this guy will log out, because then I feel like a failure if this guy doesn't log out. I'm just going to log out this guy here. Just before I explain this test. There you are. Okay, this guy has decided to console log, but my reducer didn't. So I'll go and beat it very soon. So anyway, so what I have for my actions, I've mocked a store. So generally it's we're testing. Yeah. So it's not the real application. So you have to understand that things are not good. Things like the store, things like things like the store, things like our gets, our posts. Some of those things will not be available to us. So then we will have to mock. I noticed that you manually test the component without crashing. Yeah, we'll come to that. That's the component. We'll come to that. So things like store, things like the API calls, you do not have the opportunity to test those things because they are not going to be available in a test environment. So this is why you will have to mock them. So I have like a thing to mock the store. And what this really does is just gives me an empty store. So now that I put a user object in it, the only thing in this store is going to be user. Okay, this user object, which is empty. Okay, so when I want to sign up, when I want to sign up the user, what I hopefully would see is this user object being populated with stuff. Okay, so for here, I'm doing a post. So obviously, when I sign up a user, it's a post I'm going to, it's a 201, a post, I'm creating a user, yeah? So I'm going to mock this. This can be replied once, it can be replied. It doesn't really matter, okay? I've also mocked the message, which is this guy here. Any test, blah, 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 blah. So that's the test that I normally will get back. So I want to mock that message as well. Okay. So what I've now console logged is really the actions from the store. So the actions available to me are the sign up user success. Okay. And then the user object. So it's the one we did with the reducer. So the user object. Yeah. So remember when we looked at the reducer, we had a sign up success action that took in a user object. This is the action. Yeah. Is that clear? Shake your head. No. Okay. So actually, I think this will clear it out. So let me go to where let me go to the action. So go to the action. This is the action in the application. So authenticate action. Okay. So can you see? So when my sign up success, it takes in a user object. So this is the user object it takes in. This is exactly what I'm testing. This is what I've written this already. Yeah. This is for the application side. So this is the object I'm actually testing, and it takes in a user object. And this is what I expect it to return, which will be going to the reducer. Does that make sense? Does that give it clarity? Yes, no, or somebody's like, oh, please, Benny, I don't know an action. An action is, no, I can't hear you. I think I'm looking at you.
Yeah. I don't know what an action is, Benny.
Okay, you know what an action is. How do I explain this? Okay, so when you this is more React side and Redux. So when you make a call, okay, so well, I'm just going to explain it in the way I understand it. So imagine the sign up, yeah. So you want to sign up a user. So when you have the sign up button, what you're going to do, you are going to imagine the user will press the sign up button to sign the user up, yeah. So that action is dispatched and the call is made, yeah. But you need to also you need to have a way of informing your reducer that this information that is coming back, I need you to help me hang on to it, so that eventually when I need that information again, it will now be populated. So the reducer is just a function. So it needs to be told, okay, this is the action to hold user information when they signed up. Yeah. And that's why we have a sign up success. Is that clearer, a bit clearer? It's something though you read it more in React, but it's just kind of think of React like more like a circle.
Yeah, so Benny, so the action, this action type here, so it will send this type to the reducer will check what type it is, and it will now do something with the type, right?
Exactly. So let me show you what my reducers are. Somebody is asking what the store is. They throw don't turn this test into React or React something. Let me show you my reducer so it will be clearer. So reducer is not written very well, but what happens is that the user will take initial states and it will take an action. So this is where it's waiting for the action. So now it looks for the action type. So action.type is here. Can you see the action.type? So now I'm using a switch statement. Is the action type is logged in? I want it to do this. See the sign up user success. So now if the action type is sign up success, do this. So I want someone to set is authenticated to false. This is where it does it. And I want it to, the data coming from action, I want it to put it on user, the user object. This is where it goes around. Hello, yeah?
I have a question. So where are you making the API call to the backend?
So the API call is done in two places actually. So the API call, let me take you around the circle. So let's go to, so I want to show you so that I don't like kind of confuse. Where is my component? So I need to take you to the component. I think you understand it there, but my code is written so, this is the spec. Why is it spec? Okay, this is test. That's why I'm having problems with this. Okay. Sign up. No. There. Sorry, just 1 second while I get to grips with my application. Where am I? If anybody can spot my let me just do this instead. Okay, there we are. Okay. Okay, so open your ears as soon as I get this thing. Okay, so I wasn't going to explain any of this because this is not under the remit, but I'll go to this. So the first thing I'm doing is dispatching my action, which is this guy, sign up. Okay, sign up. So this .prop sign up is coming from the actions. So I'll show you where I'm importing it, okay, so that I can show you the circle, yeah? But just understand that this .prop sign up is taking, this state is, I'm just spreading the user state, so username, password, email, whatever is coming, yeah? Do we understand this? Cool, okay. So I'm gonna show you this is where it's coming from the actions. Authenticate. Yeah, okay. So now we go to the actions. So just imagine your user has clicked the button, bam. So all my sign up user details are gonna go to the action. So we're gonna go to the action, which is authenticate, okay? So not here first. Okay, so dispatch it to, where the hell is my sign up? There it is. Okay, dispatch it to here. Okay, so this is the sign up. Okay, so this is actually where the API call is made. So if where I decide to modularize my app too much, okay, API. So the API call for sign up is this here. So this is, imagine Axios being like your fetch API. Your Axios is like your fetch API. So what all it does, it calls this route here, and it posts the credentials for the user sign up here. So don't worry, we're coming back to the actions. So go back to the actions. Where are they? Go back to the action. I'm trying not to confuse you guys. Yeah, there. Okay. So we go to the sign up first. Yeah. So this is where the API call is made here. Okay. So return a promise. here. And then now I call that sign up success action, because now I want to inform the user that data has been gotten back. Sorry, I want the reducer. I want to inform the reducer that data has gotten back and it should do something with that data. So the first thing I do is do the API call. When I do the API call, I now tell, from the response I get back from the API, it now tells the reducer I now tell the reducer to do something with that data. Okay, and that is the first thing I do here. Not yet. Okay, no. So first thing, think about the sign up button. We click the sign up button. Yes? Are we at that sign up button, please? Cool. Sign up button, what does it have with it? What is coming on with the sign up button? User details.
Object.
Yes, user object. Yes. Cool. So we're going here. Yeah? Because this is what I'm calling, yeah. Yeah? So the first thing it does here is this guy here. So it's not, okay? This guy is the API call. So I send my user data to the API to tell it to sign up. Yeah? The reducer hasn't come in at all yet. Forget about the reducer for now. All we are doing is the API call to tell the user, to tell the server that this user has put in details and I want a response. Yeah? Make sense from there? Okay. Now, it's a promise. That is why I use a .dem. So the response from the API call is what is coming from here in this user object. So the first thing I want to do, so if a positive response was gotten from the user object, what's the first thing you do? You're supposed to tell the user on your front end that your sign up was successful. Yes? If it was not successful, then what do we want to do? If we got an error back from the server, we want to tell him that there's an error. Yeah? The application, the reducer, it doesn't know that. The reducer just think of it as dumb. It's just dumb. It doesn't know what an error is. It doesn't know what a successful sign up is. It doesn't know what it just sees object and it does stuff. Yeah. So you need to now be able to initiate a mechanism to tell the reducer that when the sign up is successful, I want this. When it's not successful, I want this. Yes? Am I getting somewhere? So the first thing I do, I do a sign up success action. This is for the reducer. And then the second thing I do is show a success notification to inform the user that this has been, he's been successful at logging in. Yeah? Small. It's getting there. It's getting there, Abby. Small. Does anyone want me to go over it again? I'm just looking at the status. Somebody is sleeping. Please, don't sleep on my call. Does it? Are we thumbs up yet, or almost? Okay, thumbs up. Okay, cool. So we are good there. We're good. Okay, I'm excited. So now that my sign up has been successful, I need to tell the reducer to do some stuff with what it has gotten back. So if it gets back an error, I'll tell the reducer, do something with this data. If it gets back a proper user, I'm like, okay, reducer, do something with this data. Yes, because the reducer is dumb. It doesn't know what to do. So I need to give an instruction to the reducer to say, do something. Yeah. So let's go and find this guy. So sign up successful. So on a successful sign up, what am I expecting? What I said was, okay, taking a user parameter. And with this user parameter, this will be my payload. This, the type of the action for the reducer is sign up user success. So anytime it sees sign up user success, I want it to do something specific to sign up user success. Yes? Are we there? So now let's go to my reducer. So when we go to the user reducer, there are a whole bunch of actions that the user reducer is going to be implementing. There are a whole bunch. This is not the only one. So I have a user success, I have a user logout, I have get user list, whatever. Okay. But for this action here, sign up user success. Yeah. What I want to do is spread the states. So if I have anything before, I want to spread it. Then I want it to set the is authenticated variable to false, so that if I am maybe in a higher order in one of my components, and I find out that the is authenticated variable is, sorry, yes, set it to false, yeah. So yes, set it. The reason why I set it to false was because I wanted my users to sign up. This was my thinking then. I wanted my users to sign up, and then I wanted them to log in with those details. Does that make sense? So that is why I set is authenticated to false. So just because they sign up doesn't mean they're allowed to use the application. So that's why it's false. So anytime any of the components they check is authenticated for true. If it's true, then he can continue browsing away. If it's false, then it should log him out. That's why I have that logic there. Now I have to spread the user data into a user object. So what I'm getting back, action.data. Okay. This I probably should not be doing this, but it's because of when I get it back from the back end, it's in a data object. That is why this is action.data. Okay. And with this now, anytime I check throughout my application with my reducer, I can now determine whether a user is logged in or not. Yes? That's very slow, concise. People are nodding, people are like, okay. It doesn't, as long as you get the concept, you don't have to like, I'm not Dan Abramov. You don't have to get everything today, but you just have to get like some concept. As long as you get the concept, it's fine. Like literally, I think I didn't understand React or Redux for the first like 2-3 months, or I was in Andela. I was like, oh, was it okay? Just eventually, like formulating ideas, people's ideas. And I was just like, okay, it makes sense now. So you can go and listen to Benny one day. You can listen to Chooks. They can listen to Shegun. Eventually, things will start to make sense. Okay, they are saying the same thing. Where do I put 2 and 2 together? Okay, so I'm not expecting like everything that I say out. You should kind of understand. Okay, make sense? Cool. Let us we are exhausted a lot of the time. Let's move to the components. I'm gonna do the components because I still want to show you the repo that I use and how I think testing should be done. So we'll go to the components. I had a component in mind. Please, anybody, any questions, please write it in the channel so that I can have a look at them. The reason why you use store is for Redux because all that information that you are piling on or you are looking for, you need to store it somewhere. So Redux is like a small cache where you can start to put your information. Obviously limited, but you can put your information so that it shares it around the app. Okay, all that user object, blah 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 blah. You need to put it somewhere. Yeah. So you need a store. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to show you the component first. It's the book detail component. Basically what it is if you looked at the Hello Books application, you saw the books. They each had a title. They each had an image. They had wait, I want to check. Hopefully it's the same one. Wait, 1 second, 1 second. No, I can't see the text. Oh well. They all had a title, they all had an author, they had an unchanged, they had so all of them, that just a book detail, just one book. It's very important to separate your components out and make them as small as possible. So but I will explain this when I come to my own repo. So, but just kind of imagine the book detail being like that. So when we go to the book detail, hopefully I can get the test out because let's do that. Hopefully test. Let's go detail. There it is. Okay. Whew. I thought we'd never see it. So what I'm doing here is a shallow test. So we have a shallow and we have a mount. Someone is looking. What's the problem? She's looking as if. What's the other lady's name? So not I can't even actually see your name. What is it? Tiku or Chuku? Miss Okoye? Is it Miss or Mrs.? Why are you so? Yeah. Why are you so looking as if I'm about to kill you? What's the problem?
It looks very strange. That's
it. Looks very strange. But you'll be doing it very soon. You'll be doing it very soon now. Okay. Okay. I thought I would. Okay. I thought. So when you're doing a component test, yeah, with React, I think there are two or three things you need to determine. One of the things is what are the props that are going in to make this component. Okay, and you will need to mock those props. Yes. So anything, if you're using prop types, whatever, but if props are going into a React component and you are testing that React component, you need to have those props mocked, or else the component will not just has its own rendering system, but it will not render. It will just be like error. This prop is not. I'm not going to render myself. Yes, does that make sense? Cool. So what I did here is defined the components out. So I know it's taking a book. So the book title, book author, description, image. This doesn't have to be a real image. Mock an image, mock a string, image name. So any errors. I don't think I needed to mock this. And then it's taking an unchanged. Hello? 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 Okay, didn't want to talk. I'm doing an unchanged function. This is not really doing anything. It's just an empty function because all just wants to see is when I render this component, is there a function called unchanged? It doesn't have to be the actual unchanged function. It can be. So you can use just has its own mock functions. You can use just.fn, but doesn't matter. All it needs to see is this is a function. This is one of the components props, and is it there? Yeah. So I'm doing a shallow. This is from Enzyme. Okay. So you can either do shallow amounts. Okay. So shallow is what it does. It does. I think it's one level. So what it will do, it will render the components, but any nested components inside that component, it will not render them. So I'll give you an example. Suppose you had a book list. Yeah, a book list component filled with books. Now, the shallow render will render the book list component, but it will not render the books. So you will not be able to test the individual books, like the text and the description. So if you wanted to do that, then you would have to use a mount. Okay. Now, mount will take more time, and in what the problem a lot of people have with mount is that it does everything. It will render the whole component, which sometimes might be inefficient. So this is why other people have made like loads of other testing libraries. I think there's a React testing library, which is actually quite good, and I use on my project as well. And then there's a React renderer, snapshots, whatever. Okay, cool. So now we do this. So this is surrounded by shallow. So what I'm going to do is comment this guy out. This is, so I don't want you to watch this. This is going to be one of your best friends. So we have something called, let me just console log. And I didn't know this when I was, so you do wrapper.debug. And it's a function, so wrapper.debug, okay. And this should render out the component as just sees it. So book detail, blah, 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 blah. Okay, let's see if what we get from here. So run the test. And don't worry, there's a point of doing that as soon as my stuff renders. Okay, I think it's rendered. No, it's not. Ah, there it is. Okay, I've seen it. So this is the reason why you do something like wrapper.debug, because they will give you something like this. This is my component. Book detail. You can see the title. It matches with the title. You can see the author, test author. You can see where else, what else can we test? You can see the description. We can see image. And now what this enables you to do now is you have things to test. Okay? You can test the text. You can test like every line of code. It depends on what your testing philosophy is. In our project, we kind of try to test every line of code. Okay? You can see even it's rendered, if this is blank, no worries, a default cover will be selected. So it's rendered text, default text from the actual component. Okay? This is why this that is really powerful. So what we can do is what I do is should render without throwing an error. So this means that the component, don't worry, I'm looking at the time. I know you guys are going to eat rice, but what I want to do is should render if, so you can do should render if without throwing an error, should render length of 1, should render without crashing, as long as it renders, it's the same, all is the same lingo, as long as it renders. So you can do expect wrapper to be defined, or you can do expect wrapper to have length of 1. It's the same thing. Okay, as long as that's a render. So another one would be, so this is a really good test. So in here we have I have child components of text inputs. So what I used to build this book detail was text inputs. So now I can do a wrapper.find, and it finds exactly how many text inputs are in that component. So if I put this as 2 now, it should throw an error because it's expecting the inputs, the number of text inputs to be 4. So it should fail now, hopefully. If it doesn't fail, I'll have egg on my face. There's a lot of components. Okay, cool. So you can see here, expected value to be using 2. So that was the value I put in, but it received 4 here. So this is why it wants this to be 4. So that's a wrapper.find. And there are other methods you can use. Okay. So one more thing before I let you guys go. You can always, like, if you have any more questions, please do message me. I can clear them up. Just because I don't want to keep you guys for too long. I'm going to show you our own code base and how we test our components. That's it for my partner work. So this is something I'm working on. They will not allow me. If you push comments that they just pack your bags and go. Okay. So I'm going to show you a radio button I tested. So we use functional CSS. So CSS in JS. Let's see if I have it. Where is it? Sorry, going to. I'm just looking for a company I work with. I work with something. Okay, that's cool. That's just the component. That's how it looks. I need to go to the test. Sorry. I know it's 5 o'clock. I know they are waiting for you. Yeah. Okay. Can you give us a link to a material on front-end testing? Yeah, sure. I'll do that. The best materials is our docs, though. But some people are like, oh my god, I can't read docs. But oh well. I'll see I'll look through my stuff. So we have a shallow with theme that we are testing. It's so the shallow with theme is just shallow testing, but we're adding the theme. The theme is stuff we get from our CSS. So what we do, we have prop types. So when you can't just write when you do like maybe a text input or like text, you can't just write 4 pixels. Like it's what the UI designer agrees that you do. So we have certain like conventions for our CSS. So you can't just put any value you want. If it's not shown on the UI templates that I'll be giving to you, you cannot input it. So I'll show you. We have a file where we have our styling conventions. This is one of the good things about like that style components help you do. Is the bloody file. So we have variables. We have so I can show you. So this is for spacing. So this is all we have. So we're restricted to this. We cannot use anything outside our remit. If you can't just go and write 19. If it's not in here, then you're gonna have a bad time. It's gonna throw an error. So you need to use everything the designer gives you. So when we go to our components, that's why we need a theme. We have to pass a theme through it so that it also checks in that we are sticking to all those parameters. So we have the spacing, we have for colors, we have for loads of things. So let me just show you this thing very quickly. So almost finished. So you see the radio button, I have a setup for all my props. So what this function helps me do here is help me so I don't have to repeat over and over again. This wrapper, I define some function, some variables here. So let's say I want to test this radio input multiple times. I'll just return it here. If I want to return do this wrapper multiple times, I will return it here. And all I need to do now, when I need it, is just call setup. So it gives me access to the wrapper. And if I want to do it again, so I have one for radio component, and then I can now use the radio component in all these tests. So instead of doing like doing this in multiple places and just importing it from the setup function. So you can see I'm checking the value of each of the inputs. So whether this is full, correct name should be full. Oh, so I have should render correct name. I have should render correct value. So I have the CSS properties here. Expect to have style width of 1.6 rm, the height, outline appearance, or what have you. And this is the rest are the checkboxes, and they have to be like specific. To be fair, it depends on your engagement too. I don't want to scare you. So like my engagement, we have a QA engineer, so they are very, very specific with what they want. So if one of these tests fail, then you're going to go and have to fix and see why that thing failed. So I can, let me just, so let's remove this, what we'll do, we'll remove this guy here. So we'll change the color and then we'll run the test and see whether that will pass, just to see the thing render out. And that will be the last thing I show you today. So we do yarn test. So you see, yeah. So you see it's come up there. It literally expected blah, 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 received this from the component, but this is what it got. So it failed. Cool. I think that's a lot for 2 hours. I thought I would actually be able to do 1 hour, 30 minutes, but time extended. Any questions? I hope you gained some knowledge, some knowledge. You don't have to gain all the knowledge. You leave some knowledge for me, but you can gain some. Any questions? Everybody understood everything, correct? Everything was a breeze. So if I bring you to my own partner project, I hope you can perform as we are performing. Somebody's laughing. Somebody's like, okay. But anyway, the essence of this talk was not to bombard. Well, I did bombard you a bit, but it's really not to bombard you. You're still at checkpoint, so you still have time. It's just to kind of give you ideas, like different ideas of things. Okay, so that these ideas you kind of go and expand on them by yourself. Like there was nobody to do a session like this with me when I was in checkpoints, and I would have really found it very helpful, because if I had someone with the amount of knowledge I had now, it would obviously make me a better, like I would like know, okay, these are things to do, these are things, but I had to like literally find out everything on my own. So that means I did and I failed, and then I did again and I failed, and I had to, whereas you guys might do now, you might fail, but you will fail as less than what I did. So anyway, I hope you found it helpful. And I guess in the absence of no questions, I will bid you farewell. I will be seeing some of you guys probably on Monday or tomorrow. I'm one of your TTLs. Cat is out of the bag. So I'll see you guys. Yeah, no questions? What kind of TTL I am?
No,
who am I?
Bennett.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in this your partner project, you tested up to a checkbox.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, that's a good question. So so some partners, it depends on some, but a lot of the partners want you to make your own want you to make the components from scratch. That means use the HTML inputs and start designing them from there. So there's no like import materialize or import like Boomer. Like literally, they want their own theme. So in order to get their own film, you have to start like some of the components you might have to bring in a library and modify that, but most of the components you have to make them from scratch. So that is why you have a like the radio button is actually a checkbox and you modify it. So, but you have I don't think it's a check. It's not a checkbox. It's a checked value. So it's an actual radio button from HTML. We modify, we make sure it's beautiful, and then we modify the actual value. So when it's checked in a check state in CSS, it has to have a different color. When it's disabled, it has to have a different color, and all these things need to be tested. So that when the CTO or the senior engineer dev sees them, he's like, okay, he's testing for this works. He's testing for this works. Testing for this, it works. Yeah. Cool. Any other? Sorry, please. Before, have you found this beneficial? Have people found this beneficial?
Yeah, very beneficial.
Okay.
You have to. You even taught us. You taught us React Redux. Sorry.
I thought it was thank you. I didn't prepare, but yeah, it's a good attempt. Okay, so thank you very much for attending and enjoy what they put on for you. I think it's iStale, yeah? iStale Society. Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any questions, please message me. I think I will one more thing. I think the material I found on front-end testing, I will post in your channel. And any video, please do share with me so that I can use it for like other things when I speak. Okay, bye-bye. Why is this thing not ending? Oh.